Deep Threat Sports Network fans, welcome back to another fantastic episode. Tonight, you have Bryant and myself. At some point, I think Nolan will be hopping in here with us to kind of get the conversation going, but I still can't believe it, Bryant. College football season, obviously, it's not over. In some ways, you can say it's just getting started. But, man, the regular season's over, and that is absolutely crazy how fast time goes, man. Time flies when you're having fun. Feel like we just started doing this for the regular season yesterday. And here we are, man. The regular season's over, and that also brings in all kinds of new conversations, man. So where's your head at right now? Did the season live up to the hype so far through the regular season?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. It seemed like we're just in August doing our, win total over show, and here we are, early December now, worrying about playoffs and everything. And so this whole year's flown by, but right now, I think the season has definitely lived up to the hype. I thought it was going to be even wilder than last year, and that last year was a wild season. And so, it's definitely not over. There's a lot of dominoes yet to fall in some games this coming weekend that have an opportunity to move those dominoes into place to start beginning to fall. So, for sure, I think it lived up to the hype, and, it's going to get even wilder here these next 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like this is honestly probably the craziest season of college football that I can remember in my time, honestly. The parity has been nuts. I feel like there's really only one team that I could say that I feel is dominant and I would take against anybody else. And after that, I feel like it's honestly wide open, man. Any of these teams going on any given day. And that's what we're going to kind of get into a little bit tonight on this episode. You know how we kind of do things by now, but it's time to start switching it up a little bit because we are on to the postseason conversations. But we're really going to get into that starting on our preview episode this coming week. But tonight, we're going to review the Week 14 games, the relevant games, the games that have some playoff implications, obviously our dog of the week like we always do. And then we're going to have a little bit of that playoff conversation, show you some odds based on DraftKings, and then some coaching conversation because, good Lord, we could do 6 episodes over that, Bryant. So we're just going to kind of touch the surface of that a little bit tonight, but we have to get the news out there for a lot of these moves. And then, obviously, the game breakdowns. But, yeah, man, on top of that, Bryant, congratulations if you live in Missouri. The sports books are open. It's time to cash and checks, sprint to the windows. If you didn't get your promos out there today, make sure you're getting on that before the night ends because they have a lot of good promos out there, some free money, as the sports books like to say, for you to go out there and gamble with. So, Brian, I know you, man. If you're anything like me, you've already been there. You've already been cashing them checks.
I downloaded 4 different sports books today, opened up accounts, placed a little bit of money to get my free bonus bets. I'm in a decent amount of money, but there was $50 free plays basically out there to get instant money. So, I mean, if you're not taking advantage of that, I don't know what you're doing. I was right there with you.
$50 free plays all over the place. I got one on DraftKings. I think it's DraftKings, where if the Blues just have one shot on goal. So what's probably
already hit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going into that mentality. What's probably going to happen tonight is it's going to be the first time in hockey history that the Blues don't put a shot on goal. But, hey, it already –
that type of bet has actually not hit before. If you remember, Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles on, like, the third play of the game. Yeah. There was a $50 free play that game to him to have 1+ passing yard, and he'd had 0.
Dude, what's crazy, too, is on that promo, so it's $50 or whatever that you deposit, and then you put this $50 and they'll match it at plus 100 on a crazy minus like 20,000 odd bet for that blue shot on goal. And I did it wrong the first time, Brian. So I bet $50 just for shits and gigs. Like they didn't match to win a quarter. And then I was like,
there you go.
I had to go back and do it again. But that was what I was laughing about earlier. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I was like, man, you watch, dude. The Blues are not going to get off the bus tonight, so that's funny. Also, FanDuel had one where if there was a single point scored in the NFL game tonight, that's already hit as well. So there you go. $100 if you followed those promos. So
yes,
congratulations to Missouri sports fans. The time has come. The time is now. We are here.
It's hard to believe we're here.
We have
no more Bovada or Bet Online or whatever you were using.
Yeah, no more of that stuff. Life is good. All right, Brian. So who is our dog of the week this week? Let's go ahead and kick this thing off and talk dog of the week, would you?
Hey, this might be the first one we've had on the Florida Gators this season, but it's Jaden Ball, number 13, running back for the Florida Gators. had 38 carries for 266 yards and 2 touchdowns. No receiving stats, but that's an insane amount of yards on the ground. 7 yards per carry. He was the bell cow for them. Florida State could not stop them in this rivalry game whatsoever. There was a lot of high-end stats out there. There was a quarterback that had almost 500 yards. But we're looking for a dog of the week in a Power 4 type game. This was the one that we picked, Jaden Ball, running back for the Florida Gators.
Hey, let the dogs bark, man. Some people are saying, I didn't say this, but some people are saying this, Brian, that Nolan's not with us yet tonight because he knew that we were going to talk about Jaden Ball and how they beat Florida State. I didn't say that, but some people are saying that's why Nolan's joining late. I mean, it's realistic.
It's realistic. I don't think so, because whenever I said Jaden Ball is our dog of the week earlier, he said, "Oh yeah, he was a monster," and they was talking about him against his own team. So I don't know if I buy that. We'll see what the public thinks about that one, but you could be onto something.
Some people say that, Brian. That's all I'm saying, man. All right, Brian. Let's go ahead and get into this conversation. Let's talk a little bit of the playoffs, all right? And as you see that we have thrown up here, congratulations again, Missouri fans. You can go bet on this now, right now from your couch while you watch us. That's what's going to be cool when we do the Book It segment. You can bet it as we talk about it from your couch. But so the playoff conversation is here, right? And with all that being said, what do you want to talk about first? Honestly, man, it's hey, real quick, Mike comes in here. No one couldn't make it because he's still mopping up the tears. Honestly, Mike, I feel like no one at this point is out of tears. I feel like it's too far gone at this point to have a tear left.
Nolan's floors are literally reflecting like a mirror because of how many tears he's mopped up this season.
They had to put a new subfloor in, I heard, at his house.
Yes. Yeah. Brand new.
Brand new, man. So where do you want to go with this first? There's a whole lot of different directions we could go. Take me in whatever direction you want to go.
I'll go ahead and start it here. Looking at these odds, I'm pretty sure that we're locked in with about 10 or so teams that are basically locked at this point. There's some conversation we can have here in a bit about maybe a team that's in that 10 lock team to maybe slide out. But Notre Dame, I think, is in. I really think it comes down to who wins the ACC title game. If it's Duke, I still don't think they're in. And then I think you get 2 G5 teams in.
I don't, but correct me if I'm wrong. I still think Duke gets in regardless if they win the ACC. They just don't get a. I don't.
Hear me out.
In though, right?
Hear me out. So, North Texas and Tulane play each other, right?
Yep.
So they get in, but James Madison's in a different conference.
Yep.
If James Madison wins their conference, which is likely going to be with the Sun Belt, we'll see. They would be probably higher ranked in the college football playoff rankings than Duke.
But I'm with that. But I thought that the Power Four all had an automatic bid from their conference championship winner.
It's 5 highest ranked conference champions regardless. It's nothing to do with the Power Four.
So they just and I get it. They just automatically assumed that all 4 of those conference champions would be the highest ranked.
Correct. It's a similar story to last year. We thought Boise State's going to tack in at the end, but they were higher ranked than I can't remember who it was last season. I think Arizona State, yes, and they were ahead of them in the final rankings. So similar story this time, but a James Madison Sun Belt champion will be higher ranked than they could possibly be higher ranked than a Duke ACC champion, and they would get in. That's why their odds are higher here.
You know what though? Good.
Yeah.
Good. The ACC's horrible, man, and Nolan's an ACC guy, and he's been talking about it for weeks. That conference is in shambles. So let me ask it to you like this then: if Duke wins the ACC and they don't get in, do they reward Miami?
Possibly. Do they reward BYU? If BYU loses, I think they're out. But if they win, they're definitely in. I think Texas Tech is still in.
Yes. If BYU beats Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship, both of those teams are in.
Yes.
Let's
just go through it here. I think Notre Dame is in regardless. I think North Texas beats the brakes off Tulane personally, so I think they're in.
Yes.
I think Virginia and Duke is going to be a nail biter, but I think Virginia's in if they win.
I think Duke beats them.
It's going to be close, but Virginia is quite a bit of a favorite in that game, and it shows on these rankings. But Virginia wins their end, and then there's only one spot left, and it's going to the G5.
Wow. So it's just absolutely mind-boggling that the ACC is this bad. It's mind-boggling that we're having this conversation because we talked about this preseason, and our preseason bet reflected it. This should have been a Clemson layup, man. And the fact that Clemson and Miami still couldn't win the ACC this year, I never want to hear those two teams talk about how they deserve more money than the rest of the teams in the conference. And same with Florida State. I never want to hear any of those three teams talk about how they need to go to a different conference. Dude, if you can't win the ACC this season, when it was the easiest to win it, when you're about to have, a 7-5 Duke team play for an ACC championship against, honestly, a mediocre Virginia team, don't ever come out in the public again talking about how you need to be in a different conference.
I agree with you. And there's another conversation to be had here is if Georgia wins the SEC championship, Alabama's at 3 losses. Does the committee kind of disregard this championship weekend, which it kind of seems they've said they would do?
Yeah.
But then again, is a 3-loss Bama better than a 2-loss Miami? There's going to be that conversation too.
A 2-loss Vandy team, who they beat.
Texas. I mean, Texas is –
Texas is 9-3.
I get it, but they got some pretty good wins, better than anybody in the ACC does. So I don't know. It's going to be a little bit wild here on the back end. There's probably like 4 or 5 teams bidding for 2 spots.
Yes.
And some of them are looking for an at-large, or some of them teams have a chance to prove themselves this weekend. But then again, how much weight are they going to give to it?
So here's the actual notes that I have wrote down. Let's just see. Let's just go by these notes. We kind of talked about it a little bit already. North Texas, Tulane are going to play in an AAC championship game for the G5 spot. Okay, check. Talked about that. BYU, Texas Tech are going to play in the Big 12 championship game for an auto bid. Okay, check. Talked about that. Talked about how we think if BYU does win, both are in. If Texas Tech wins, BYU's out. Agree?
Yes.
Okay. Alabama, Georgia playing for an SEC championship. Georgia's in regardless. Agreed?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Alabama is lock in if they win. Alabama is – what would you put the percentage if they lose? 50% if they lose?
I would say it's like 60% if they lose on the good side of the fence, but I don't know. That's going to be weird.
If Kalen DeBoer misses the playoffs back-to-back seasons in a 12-team playoff, the Alabama fans do what? Fill in the blank.
Oh, man. They're going to be mad.
They're going to be outside of the mouth, right, with pitchforks.
That's why I say that they're probably going to get in if they have 3 losses.
I can't imagine a world where the Bama fans are okay with it if they miss the playoffs in a 12-team playoff back-to-back years.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to call for his head.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
that is where you could honestly see Kalen DeBoer leave the Bama job willingly just to get it. I mean, obviously, I'm going way off the rails with that, but that is conversation that I have had internally. Like, okay, because when they were honestly in that Auburn game, when things got dicey for a minute, in my head, I was like, okay, if they lose this game and don't make the SEC championship and they don't make the playoffs, Bama fans want him gone. No questions asked. They're going to want him gone. So
yeah,
that game has a lot at stake for his job, in my opinion. Next one I have down here, Indiana, Ohio State Big Ten Championship. This is for the number 1 seed. This game right here. I think
the most meaningless 1-2 matchup you'll ever see.
Yes, as crazy as that sounds, you are 100% correct that this is truly the most irrelevant because both these teams, in my opinion, win, lose, either way for either one of them, are both top 4 seeds getting a bye. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Then we have the Duke-Virginia conversation, which we already talked about. The Virginia gets an auto bid and is in. Duke is
probably out regardless.
Yeah, needing some dominoes to fall if they win.
Yeah.
I also had down here Notre Dame is kind of sitting in limbo a little bit. Obviously, them not playing the conference championship, we discussed this before, is a problem for them. I think it's kind of shitty still. But what they are hoping for, because I'm with you, there's a reason they're minus 400 on DraftKings. I think they're locked in. What they're waiting for is to see if they're going to get a home playoff game.
Mm-hmm. Which, if I were to put some moolah on that right now, I'd say they're probably going to be sitting around 5 or 6 and not get a and get a home playoff game.
So let me have this conversation with you, Brian. Miami is what, 10-2?
Yes.
Notre Dame is 10-2.
Yes.
Miami beat Notre Dame.
Yes.
What kind of conversation do we have with that?
Notre Dame's losses are way better than Miami's losses.
Correct. But
Yes.
Miami still beat Notre Dame. That's a head-to-head. That, to me, comes number one.
That's true, but they kind of do a weighted average on the season as a whole, and that was week one.
Yeah.
Notre Dame has shown how good of a team they are these last 10 games and have been beating the brakes off people, whereas Miami really hasn't been. Yeah, Notre Dame's played a lesser schedule, but Miami just hasn't been shown out like they should have.
This
is the weirdest conversation is these two teams.
Yes. So, which also brings me to the question, to avoid all of it, does the committee just get rid of both of them?
No. Notre Dame's going to get in, I don't think.
I agree. I'm just trying to throw out wild scenarios here. I think the committee would chalk this up as basically saying, okay, well, that was week one. Notre Dame had a true freshman quarterback coming in here, and now he has learned he's a different team. He's a different quarterback. This team has found their stride. Down the stretch, they've been a top 7 team in college football, pounding teams into the dirt. And I would agree with that. I just think there is still some outrage out there, and I understand it from the Miami side of things, where if they beat Notre Dame and they don't get in, and both those teams are 10-2. So I think both out or both in situation.
Miami's also had their opportunities to take care of business in that horrible ACC. And if they get to the championship game this year, if they would have, I think they're in regardless if they win or lose.
Yes.
But they're not. Yeah. So they put it in the committee's hands entirely here, and it's not something you want to do unless you're a really good at-large team like in Oregon.
Well, and that's the conversation I was kind of saying a second ago too. Look, I don't ever want to hear from you guys again if you couldn't win the ACC this year. But full circle, you put it all in a vacuum. I have to tell myself that I don't know how we put a team in over another team if the team we're leaving out beat Team A, the other team. Like that's wild to me. So
I think you have 3 conversations to worry about this weekend as far as the playoffs. Is Notre Dame in and where they're at? Who's going to be in with the ACC if there is a team? And will somebody from the lower side of the SEC teams that are still available sneak in? I think those are your 3 conversations.
Yes. So a team like Vanderbilt, same conversation. If Bama loses in the SEC championship to Georgia, and that gives them 3 losses, and you punish them for losing an SEC championship game, even though they got there, and Bama's out, and they stick Vanderbilt in, how does that sit with people? Bama beat Vanderbilt.
That'd be – I don't see Vanderbilt or Texas getting in, but –
that's the conversations, man. That's the conversations.
It is.
That's the crazy part of this right now. I'm drawing a blank, too. Who won the Red River this year? Was it Oklahoma or Texas?
Texas destroyed Oklahoma.
Okay, I thought so.
It was like 31-6.
So now we're having that question because Oklahoma, to me, on paper, is the worst team in this playoff, and they're not even on this DraftKings.
No, they're a lock.
They're a lock in.
Mm-hmm. They're probably the highest non-home game team, I would say. That 9.
I would rather see, and people that follow our show know that we do not love Arch Manning. Nothing against the guy personally. We just don't like watching Arch Manning and Texas play football. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, I would rather watch Texas than Oklahoma in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd rather watch Vanderbilt. People know that we ride Pavia's ass mainly because of Dave, but people know that we don't love this Vandy and Pavia team. I'd rather watch them than Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Ole Miss has no coach. Oh, they do.
Yeah.
They do. But
but
they lost their coach.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. I think it gets more complicated with 12 teams than it was with 4.
Oh, yeah. 4 was pretty cut and dry. There was maybe one game you can move up and down, and the conference championships kind of meant something, whereas now they, in the grand scheme of things, don't. They're more for seeding higher-end teams. And then now it's just the at-large situation is so convoluted, especially this season when the ACC is so bad. Let's say Miami went 12-0. we wouldn't be having near the conversations right now. We'd be having like
Yeah.
4 teams vying for 3 spots.
Yes. Dude, the biggest questions now when it comes to the playoffs are the teams that don't even play this weekend. The teams that are on a bye this weekend is the biggest questions.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
Mike comes in here. Miami at Notre Dame first round would be awesome.
Yep.
There's a world where you get it. There's a world where you get it.
And another thing is, how far does A&M fall? Do they put them out with the? I'd say they're probably going to fall to 6 or at the lowest.
I would say you could have Oregon above them, Ole Miss above them. I would say, honestly, Bryant, that they fall to like that. I would say like that 8 range, dude. Like last.
They're not going to fall that far.
You don't think, man? Because if you break down their resume,
they have the like I think they're the second. They're either the second or the worst strength of record of the teams that are locks right now.
They played like 5 of the bottom 7 SEC teams.
No, it was like 7 of 8.
Okay, even worse, 7 of 8. So their resume is not that good. And they got beat by a Texas team that we're sitting here talking about. Would we rather see them in Oklahoma? Yes, but a Texas team that's really not that good.
Yeah, as far as the SEC is concerned, Mizzou was like their second best win.
Yes, without a doubt.
Granted, they have the Notre Dame one to hang their hat on a little bit, but still.
That's an early Notre Dame again. So, but like I think, Brian, I think they're – we're going to find out tomorrow night, but I think they're 8. Seriously.
I think they'll be 5 or 6.
Okay, so ahead of them would be Georgia, Indiana, Ohio State,
Oregon, Ole Miss, and they're 6th.
Depending on what the committee thinks of Oklahoma. I know they have one more loss, but depending on what the committee thinks of them, did we say Notre Dame?
Texas Tech or Notre Dame would be the ones that could possibly slide above them and make them at 8, but I don't see them doing that.
Yeah. What do they think about Bama? What's the committee think about Bama?
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be wild on Sunday.
There's a world where they're 8, dude. I'm serious.
Yeah. I just don't think they're going to fall that far.
Okay. Hey, I could see it either way. So let's transition a little bit. I could talk about the playoffs all night long. There's so many hypotheticals. There's so many what ifs. There's so many what would we do. I know what I would do. I mean, I wouldn't have Oklahoma in it, but they deserve it. They got a great resume. I just think they're going to get absolutely mopped by anybody they play that's got a competent offense. John Mateer, and we're going to get into that game later. Whew, God, everything we said about John Mateer since week 2, we were right about. We beat everybody else to the punch. I just want to throw that out.
I really do think him breaking that bone in his hand, he was throwing the ball pretty well up until that point. Yeah, that's kind of a scapegoat type thing a little bit, but he just has not looked the same since he came back, whether it's maybe he's not as confident as he was when he was throwing the ball. Granted, they really don't have many weapons, and the teams that were playing when he was throwing good were not SEC-type teams.
They played Michigan when he was throwing the ball good. Oh, when he was throwing the ball okay at the time against Michigan. Yeah. I mean, I think we've been on it the whole time, dude. Like, he was 21-34 with an interception against Michigan and 1 touchdown. Like, he wasn't – his legs were the reason they won that game. And because Bryce Underwood was only his 2nd career start, and he goes into Oklahoma as a freshman. Yeah. And then they were playing Temple and Illinois State, so of course he looked really good. Like the same people that talk about how Ahmad Hardy looked good against non-SEC teams running the ball are the same people saying that John Mateer is really good. No, you're smoking crack. John Mateer did have the hand injury, but this is what he was at Washington State. We talked about it forever. The dude is boomer bust. He's
absolutely. Yeah, he was either throwing for 350 or 150.
I mean, needs a lot of work, needs a lot of fine-tuning, has the intangibles, just needs some fine-tuning, and maybe – but also with that defense, you just have to score 21 points and you win football games. So he's doing his job somewhat. Let's get into the coaching conversation a little bit. We've been going for 25 minutes rambling. I love it. I mean, this is the stuff people –
I don't want to dive too deep. Let's just go over who's where.
We're just going to give the results of where people are at right now, because you're right. We're going to do a whole episode at some point over all of these coaching changes and what we still think is to come. So, news today, Kentucky fires Bob Stoops. or Mark Stoops, sorry, been knowing that's coming for a while. When we did our preseason episode of our coaching hot seats, he was on it. He was one of the main conversations.
They did hire somebody.
Do what?
They did hire somebody.
Who did they get?
They hired Oregon's offensive coordinator, Will Stein, which his name was in the hat for. That's a pretty good hire. I know when there was some speculation that Drink might move on from Missouri, I think a lot of people, including myself, had him number one on the list. So his name was out there, and I think it's a good hire for Kentucky.
Yeah, Will Stein is a genius, man. I think that's actually a huge loss for Oregon, personally.
Yep.
Assuming that Will Stein gets to move on with Oregon throughout the playoffs, I'm assuming that's how they're going to roll that. Usually, the coordinators get to stay.
Yeah, I think I didn't read into the verbiage of it, but I think that's correct.
Okay. UCLA hires Bob Chesney, right?
Yep.
Coming over from JMU, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So good get for them. JMU has had tons of success with him. JMU's a good program. He's a great coach. That UCLA job and with that Kentucky job, both hard jobs. I think they're both really hard Power 4 jobs, Brian. Virginia Tech, obviously, this is probably a week or two old now. But James Franklin, obviously got fired from Penn State. James Franklin comes into Virginia Tech. I think we actually kind of reported on that. Obviously, we didn't have any hard details to ourselves, but we felt like that was a good fit and it worked out. So Virginia Tech has a good coach for them, especially in the ACC. I think they compete in the ACC for sure with James Franklin. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma State brings in Eric Morris. This is North Texas's coach, correct?
Yes, this is probably my favorite.
What a get for Oklahoma State, Brian.
Yeah, this is good. This is good.
If
they bring Messamaker and Caleb Hawkins with them, dude, that's going to be a team to watch in the Big 12 next year. I don't think they're going to blow the top off, but they're going to be in contention.
Immediate 180, Brian. Immediate 180.
Yes.
I was really shocked. Does he have ties to Oklahoma State?
I don't know. Let me look.
I thought he had ties because otherwise there had to be jobs out there that were wanting him over Oklahoma State. Nothing against Oklahoma State. But, man, he's got some work to do with them right now.
I don't want to donate to Wikipedia. He played football at Texas Tech, so he does not have Oklahoma State ties. He's a Texas dude.
Okay.
Was a GA at Houston, 1 year at Washington State, and then back to Texas Tech for 4 seasons. Was the coach at Incarnate Word when Cam Ward started there.
Yep.
And then went to Washington State with Cam Ward.
And
then went to North Texas for the previous 3 seasons, including this one, and now he's at Oklahoma State. So no ties to Oklahoma whatsoever.
Dude, he's tied to like 15 quarterbacks that have had success.
Yeah. Very good coach.
This next one, and you were right. I was wrong. In the initial announcing of this, I had a good feeling about it, but you were right. I was wrong. Arkansas gets Ryan Silverfield. You were completely right when you said Arkansas is in shambles. This is horrible. At surface level, I thought it was good. When you broke it down for me, you were right.
If you want a good laugh, go watch. There was people literally riding with bags on their head outside of Arkansas Stadium when they hired this dude. It is so funny. Granted, I do not like Arkansas whatsoever, so that kind of adds a little bit of cherry on top for me. But if you're somebody who likes Utah, you'll get a laugh out of this because they're literally standing outside of football stadium or facility with bags on their head. And I don't really blame them because Ryan Silverfield is not a bad coach, but he loses the games he wins the games he should win, and he loses the games he should lose. Now that's fine and dandy. I mean, Drink is kind of like that, but that's in the SEC. That's going to happen a little bit more than the SEC, I feel like. But this was in the G5 American Conference. Like he's losing to teams he should lose. He's not winning that bigger game. He's just kind of skating by, going 8-4 every season.
And they have talent people.
Now, on top of that, though,
conference
Arkansas has pulled like 4 or 5 really good recruits in the past 24 hours.
They flipped that 4-star Hodges running back from Mizzou.
Correct. Yeah. So maybe he can kind of get a spark there. I think it's going to be a steep road for them, and we all know it's kind of a different conversation. They've been dumping a lot more NIL money into basketball now that they have Calipari. So I think it's a steep road and an uphill climb for this Arkansas football program. Granted, I don't know if there was better, there was many better guys out there to choose. I would rather have Go Lesh, which it was initially supposed to go there, but he kind of gave him the side eye and went to Auburn, which is the next coach we're going to talk about. But yeah, it's pretty funny if you go watch those videos. They literally had bags on their heads writing. Never seen that before.
Losing it. I don't think he's that bad, but
he's not that bad.
There was serious conversations though that Memphis was going to fire him. So like that's probably what draws that like bad look.
You looked at the comments and it was like Memphis fans celebrating and Arkansas fans like blowing the top off. Like, what are we doing? It was pretty funny. It was comical.
You know who I'm surprised hasn't got a head coaching job? Colin Klein. I talked about him from Mizzou when we thought Drink was going to move on too.
I think he likes A&M.
Yeah, but I get it. But the dude had tons of success as an OC at Kansas State. He leaves. Kansas State hasn't looked the same. He gets to A&M. A&M's offense looks to be incredible both years. Mm-hmm. The dude clearly knows what he's doing, especially because Elko is a defensive guy.
Yes. So he's got full reign on that offense.
It is complete dominance of that offense. So I think he is a name to look out for still as a head coaching job somewhere. Auburn gets Alex Golesh, like Brian just talked about. This is one of the best coaches in this kind of the circle of looking for head coaching jobs to take that next step from G5 to Power 4. Great hire by Auburn. Think this is going to have some success here. Comes over from USF. If anybody didn't know his name, that's where he's at. South Florida had tons of success this season. So Golesh knows what he's doing. He's kind of got that moxie about him too that fits that Auburn mold a little bit.
But man, his leash is short. These next three coaches are short leashes.
These next two, I think these next two are way shorter than the Golesh. I think these next two are max.
I mean, there's like one chain on the leash.
There's
like one link on the leash.
And that is John Summerall at Florida coming in from Tulane. Florida is a great job. If Nolan was on this show right now, he would give us a 45-minute episode about why Florida is a good job. And he's probably right. But mine and your rebuttal every time with this Florida job was you have to win immediately or they will move on from you. You have got to flip it around immediately. His number 1, 2, and 3 priorities right now is keeping Lagway, keeping Ball, and I'm drawing a blank on that freshman. What's his name? The freshman receiver. Yeah, keeping him. That 1, 2, 3, and then you got to have immediate success. And what would you say? Because we don't want to get too deep into, but what would you say immediate success for John Summerall in 2026 at Florida is?
For Florida standards, man, I think he's got to go 9-3. Personally, if he's not going 9-3, he's not going to be on the hot seat after year one. But he's going to have more pressure on them than he'd like.
Yes, I would say
9-3 is insane for the first season, but that's Florida standards, dude. They're outside of this world high standards. Like, I could go on a tangent about Florida, how it's not as great of a job as Nolan thinks it is, because they have literally not been successful since Tebow and Urban Meyer. But their year-to-year expectations are utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, they have unrealistic expectations to be a national champion every year, in my opinion. The next one, same thing. But this team has had success with multiple coaches winning national championships. And it's obviously – this is the one I want to spend, honestly, the least amount of time on because it has completely taken away from all of college football here in the last couple of weeks. Yes. Lane Kiffin goes to LSU. Are we surprised? Nobody here is surprised. Leaves Ole Miss. Ole Miss hires Pete Golding, the defensive coordinator, to take the job over. Great fit for them. The locker room loves him. Supposedly he's their best recruiter. We'll see if that's just all the talk of people – pissing on Lane Kiffin right now, or if they really feel that way in 2 years. But
it was a wild yesterday with this situation. We could go for an hour about this, but just go read on social media or anything to kind of figure out all what happened and what went down yesterday and the behind the scenes a little bit. One thing I want to add, there was a story that came out about 2 hours ago that Kiffin actually wanted the Florida job, but after his conversations with Florida's AD, he's like, hell no.
Yeah, I think they wanted to put a GM over top of him from what I was reading.
Correct.
He's not ever going to allow that to happen. Lane Kiffin, that is. So, also, I've always been a Kiffin fan. I think he's a great coach. When conversation comes up, people talking shit on him, I've always kind of backed the guy. but total douche move here. This dude wanted his cake, wanted to eat it too, wanted to coach out Ole Miss through the playoffs and still take the LSU job. Good for Ole Miss for standing their ground. It sucks for the kids and the players, but good for Ole Miss for saying, "Hey, dude, no."
Yeah, he wanted the best of both worlds for sure, and I don't think there's any chance in hell that was ever going to happen. I don't mind Lane Kiffin either, but it seems like he always has one leg out the door, regardless of where he's at.
He's never anywhere alone, man. He's been
what now? He's been Florida Atlantic's coach. He's been Ole Miss's coach. He's been USC's coach, Tennessee's coach.
Yep.
It was the Raiders in the NFL.
NFL stint. Yep.
And multiple other Bama's offensive coordinator all over the place.
Yeah.
He's a suitcase type coach. Like, he's always got his bags packed.
Yep. He's always got a plastic sleeve over his button ups on a rack with wheels ready to go. I think that
I saw them put all his shirts on the rack outside of the building.
That's why I said that, because that picture is incredible. But he is one of the best coaches in the business, in my opinion, too. And he knows what it takes to win in the SEC. I think if he got Ole Miss to 11 wins, the dude can get LSU to 11 wins. So we'll see. But that leash is short, man. If he doesn't win a natty, or if he's not in the natty or in the Final Four in the first 3 years, he's on the hottest seat come year 4. Like, no doubt.
Yes.
So that's where I stand with that. Okay. Let's talk some of these games. We don't have to dive into these games too much, because we just had the conversations that people want to hear the most right now, especially with where we're at in the college football season. But we still want to touch on some of these games that had a lot of meaning. And the first one that we're going to talk about here is Alabama at Auburn, the old Iron Bowl. Got a little dicey for a little bit. Bama scores 27, Auburn scores 20. Bama's obviously having that SEC championship game now, having that playoff conversation. Auburn misses a bowl, kind of dead in the water. A season where they had some expectations that they did not live up to. They move on from their coach, and Hugh Freeze is gone. They bring in Golesh, like we just talked about. So Auburn made it interesting for a little bit. Bama jumps out to a 17-0 lead, Bryant, and it looked like
17-3.
17-3. Looked like they were just going to absolutely run away with this. They got a little complacent. Crazy things happen whenever you're playing in Auburn, and they marched their way right back. A couple of things that I noticed with this game, Brian. It's a miracle that they have Isaiah Horton and Jeremy Bernard, Alabama, because Ryan Williams, don't think has a pulse. I don't know if that guy plays football this season.
He's non-existent.
What the hell happened? What am I missing something? What's going on there?
I don't know. In this game, they were actually able to run the ball a little bit until Jam Miller got hurt, which that's something to monitor. He was on crutches. But you still got to go out and make plays. And Ty Simpson on this Alabama offense could not move the ball through the air really whatsoever effectively. And it showed. That's why they slowed down the second half and let Auburn climb back in. But they had to lean on their defense to win this game until that last drive by Alabama, which they absolutely needed. This Auburn had all the momentum.
That was a championship level drive by Ty Simpson in Alabama, though.
Absolutely.
I think a penalty extended the drive, which you have to throw that out there. But for them to have that lead, to your point, Auburn get all the momentum, Auburn tie this thing up, for Bama to go down the field late in the fourth quarter and score a touchdown to get the lead, championship level drive. And I'm going to say one thing about Ty Simpson. That dude might be the toughest quarterback in the country. I have never seen a quarterback take that many shots in a football game in my life and get back up every time. Yeah,
he's a dog for sure, and they need him to be. Speaking of dogs, man, I thought Ashton Daniels played a freaking hell of a game for Auburn, dude.
Yes, he did.
He was slinging the ball.
I shit on him a little bit, saying that there's no way Bama doesn't beat an Ashton Daniels Stanford transfer quarterback by 50. You know what? Why wasn't he absolutely lighting it up at Stanford? Because
I don't know. Maybe it was one of those games where you kind of get fired up and play out of your mind, and I think that was probably part of it. But he finally started throwing. Cam Coleman was finally the one they were honing in on offense. Singleton got involved. They were able to run the ball. Their defense held up as best they could. Man, they played a heck of a game. Poor Cam. This game's always close, but it's closer than I thought it would be this season for sure.
Poor Cam Coleman, though, fumbling that ball to kind of seal the deal on losing the game. That sucks. I'm anxious to see if he hangs around or if he transfers out, though. I've wondered that all season with him a little bit.
Is
There's
he
a lot.
eligible for the draft?
No,
No,
he
he's
is
a
in
sophomore.
Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams' class.
That's correct. So he still has one more season he has to play.
Yeah. So I'm anxious to see if he bounces because there's a lot left to be desired for Cam Coleman, in my opinion. Last thing on this for me, I kind of looked into this a little bit. Ty Simpson, the last probably 3 weeks to a month, hasn't been the Ty Simpson that we saw for like an 8-week stretch, 9-week stretch, dominate college football.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
He's been a little off on those kind of, I wouldn't call them game breakers, but plays
yeah.
that extend drives.
Yeah.
He's been a little off on those.
Well, and I've been seeing him kind of make some overthrows quite a bit on some deep shots, which happens. But his completion percentage was through the roof for 2.5 months. So it is weird to see him kind of get shaken up a little bit. So anxious to see where that comes from and how they look in that Georgia game. Anything else on this one, Brian?
I'm good.
All right. So the next one that we're going to talk about here is, let me pull it up, is Texas A&M at Texas. And this game is probably the biggest result for the playoffs, I would say, in negative light for A&M. A&M scores 17, Texas scores 27. A&M gets that first loss. Texas moves to 9-3. What did you see in this football game from A&M, Brian?
I just really think they couldn't get anything going on offense, and I think that's just solely credited to how Texas was playing them. They weren't allowing them to throw the ball deep, and they were stopping the run, and they were pressuring Marcel Reed. He had to make plays. He had to throw to tight windows, and then he got that little banged up. I thought it was going to be a pretty bad injury. Turns out he came back. That was kind of the end of it for him. He couldn't really be as elite as he wanted to be. I think Texas has kind of suffocated them on defense completely, and then their offense held up finally, and Arch Manning looked good, and they were able to run the ball finally too. So everything kind of came to fruition for Texas in this game.
I'm laughing because I remember my text when that happened to Marcel Reed. I texted Marcel Reed dead. Like 5 minutes later, I texted, he has risen. Dude, I thought for sure, dude. I thought for sure he was getting meat wagoned off the field, dude. That ankle looked like it went in 9 different directions when he tried to do a juke move that was like non-contact rolled up. So thought he was done, and to your point, he comes back. Doesn't look the same. This is the Texas A&M offense. If you remember, we talked about preseason, like kind of what we expected a little bit. That Marcel Reed, is he that guy?
Like the only game they had going on offense was like short passes and slants across the middle type thing, but they're only going for 7-8 yards. They couldn't break them.
You want to know some crazy shit? So when I broke this down a little bit stat wise, it was weird, dude. Both these teams less than 400 yards offensively. One goes 4 for 14, one goes 4 for 13 on third downs. One has 180 passing yards, one has 179 passing yards. Both these teams have 19 total first downs. Crazy. Both these quarterbacks, in my opinion, did not look good. I think that's expected from Arch Manning in this game a little bit. Wasn't as much from Marcel Reed. I think the biggest difference in this football game, Brian, outside of Quintravian Wisner running the ball for Texas, was the fact that A&M had 2 turnovers. That was the true difference in this football game. And if you look at it, A&M lost by 2 possessions and had 2 turnovers. That was the difference for me here.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, Texas A&M just suffocated them with their defense that they've leaned on all season, and were able to finally do something consistently on offense. So credit to Arch Manning. He wasn't great, but he led the drives when he had to. And then, like I said, they were able to run the ball finally. We've been waiting for it all season, and it paid out here. They were pretty well dominant this whole game, it seemed like.
Wisner, I feel like I say it differently every week, but had 19 carries for 155 yards, and Arch Manning has that big scamper at the end of the game that kind of put the bow on it for them to win the football game. So, credit to them. He did just enough to get the job done, man. So that's what he did. That's all you have to do sometimes. The next game we're going to talk about here is Vanderbilt at Tennessee. A big game, and we want to talk about it because it does give Vandy that chance to make the playoffs. Not as impactful because they're probably not going to make it unless some dominoes go their way or there's some real strong committee pull for them. But Vanderbilt beats the shit out of Tennessee, and that's what they had to do if they wanted to get their name in the hat. They score 45 points. Tennessee scores 24. I thought Diego Pavi was absolutely horrible in the beginning of this football game.
Yeah,
So
he started off bad.
turnovers. I mean, it looked like the total story of this is how Vanderbilt loses football games. This is exactly how they lost to Alabama. This is just what he does in the moment's too big, and he turns the ball over in the red zone. He settles in. This Vanderbilt defense settles in. This Tennessee offense looks abysmal half the time. And Joey Aguilar is exactly who we said Joey Aguilar is for a long time. He just chucks it up. Hopes his receivers can make a play. He's not that guy. But Pavia gets all the credit. Who I think is the most underrated player for this Vanderbilt football team is Cedric Alexander. 10 carries, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. This dude is a walking touchdown, Bryant. If you remember, I know you remember, in the Mizzou game, whether there was 3 holds on that play or not, this dude breaks an 80, 84-yard touchdown out and opens it up for Vanderbilt. The dude, when he has the ball in his hand, like I said, is a walking touchdown. He is the true difference maker for this football team, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And it definitely showed in this game. Him and Pavia kind of put the team on their back after that first, when it was 14-7. After it was 14-7, Tennessee, this game wasn't even close after that. I mean, Vandy was scoring on every drive. Pavia was doing whatever he wanted to, whether they wanted to throw the ball, whether he ran, or if he turned around and handed it off to Alexander. That Tennessee defense was so porous after that first quarter. They could pretty much do everything. And like you said, Vandy's defense locked in for sure. Tennessee's offense is solely the explosive plays.
That's it.
Vandy definitely shut that down. So credit to them. I thought Vandy was going to roll over in this game, and they definitely did not. So Pavia has put himself back in the Heisman conversation, it seems like. And when you have 165 rush yards and 268 pass yards as a quarterback, he put the team on his back for sure.
He is the most frustrating quarterback to watch if you're a fan of the opposing team. I'll give the guy credit, man. When there's nothing there, he finds a first down with his legs. Mm-hmm. It is frustrating to watch when you're on Tennessee -2 like we were in the Book It segment because there were so many times there was nothing, and the dude just scampers for 30 yards, 20 yards, chunk plays. What's crazy, too, is I felt like neither one of these teams ever got off the field on third down, like defensively. They were a combined 19 for 29 on third downs. This was just rough defense, and Tennessee's offense just could not find it.
Yes. I think the only Pavia that needs work is his brother.
Oh.
Got arrested for again at a game. His family's nuts.
The
that's another conversation. Crazy.
College football, dude. They need to get out of college football, dude.
Mm-hmm.
His family living vicariously through him.
The guy who's playing the 6th season of college football wants to play his 7th. Like, let's let him have his to-dos and then sail off into the sunset.
I can't take another Pavia season at Vanderbilt. I can't do it. I can't do it. All right, enough of that game. A barn burner here. Georgia 16, Georgia Tech 9. I think it was you and I texting after this game. Less than impressed with Georgia.
Absolutely.
Georgia Tech didn't really have anything except kicking field goals. And Georgia still let this be a one-possession game. I don't really have much on this game, Bryant, at all, other than crazy good defense. And this is what Georgia Tech wanted this game to be. And Georgia just found a way to win it.
Yeah, this was a rather boring game, I think. Gunnar Stockton did not look good. His only really threat was Zachariah Branch, kind of, and Oscar Delp, kind of. But other than that, they really couldn't do a whole lot, and that's kind of concerning. They had no yards there and only had 70. Their defense is up to par. They're kind of playing their best ball right now, and I think that's part of the reason they won this game was Georgia Tech couldn't really do anything either. Georgia made them do what they're not good at with running up the middle rather than getting on the outside, and it showed. That's why they only scored 9 points and all field goals. Really weren't ever threatening to score touchdowns, I felt like, either. So this game was rather concerning for me on Georgia Tech's side. or Georgia side, excuse me. They're just not looking the part right now.
No, and that concerns me a little bit because obviously the SEC championship coming up in the playoffs. You got to get it going, man. And it was just a rivalry game, right? So maybe that's got something to do with it. Maybe they were a little scared how Georgia Tech played them last year. All that good stuff. We talked about it earlier. You kind of throw things out the window in this rivalry week. So maybe that had something to do with it. We'll chalk it up to that for right now. So with all that being said, that's everything that we had for you guys on the main game. We have 4 quickies here for you. There were still some rivalry games that obviously deserve conversation that we're not just going to let go by the wayside. So with that being said, the first one's Bryant's, and that's Ohio State 27 and Michigan 9. Bryant, give it to us.
This was a highly anticipated matchup, which it always was. Michigan has won 4 straight, even when and I think 3 of those games they were massive underdogs. But Ohio State came out and showed who they were. Michigan really couldn't do anything all game, and Ohio State finally got it going on the ground a little bit to supplement that through the air passing attack. But Julian Sain was nails. Got Jeremiah Smith involved early and often. And Cardinal Tate was there too. Man, they were just humming on all cylinders on offense and doing everything they needed to do on defense. Michigan couldn't run the ball whatsoever. Bryce Underwood looked a little bit lost as far as throwing the ball too. So this was a rather dominant win for Ohio State, and it seemed like Michigan was more concerned with guarding their center of their field rather than winning a football game.
Yeah, 100%. You're not wrong about that. The next game that we're going to talk about here is a big rivalry, big-time rival, and that's Oregon 26 at Washington 14. Oregon solidified this playoff spot when there was a lot of conversations about could Oregon really go in and dominate and win this football game. They did. Washington was in it. I don't ever feel like Washington had the chance to win it, though. I just didn't have that feeling. This network was really big on Damon Williams preseason, but I have to admit something right now. He's just not that guy. He's just not that guy yet. Maybe next year, but he's just not that guy yet. And Jonah Coleman and Denzel Boston were back in this game, but both kind of a non-factor. Boston had 2 touchdowns, but he only had 25 yards receiving, so wasn't the difference makers. What's crazy about Oregon is they're still having tons of success, being extremely banged up. Malik Benson, massive game in this one. 5 catches, 102 yards, won a touchdown, stepped up big, had a big-time touchdown when Washington was scratching their way back into this one. So that was big-time stuff right there. Washington only had 1 pass for over 20 yards in this football game. It felt like for Oregon, Kenyon Sadiq was kind of a decoy, Bryant. It looked like he was just out there letting the defense key on him, opening everything up underneath for all these other receivers. And credit to DeCorian Moore for having a damn good game, considering that he had a ton of receivers banged up, had a 163 QB rating, and great stuff for him. This Oregon defense is very, very good. Got to demand 4 times. So they have kind of found their stride when people thought they didn't have it anymore going into the playoffs. And if they're healthy into the playoffs, buckle up, man. Nobody wants to see them on their schedule in the playoffs. There's no way.
Especially that defense, but I'm still wanting a little bit more from their offense. Yes, I know they're banged up, but they're still not as efficient as I think they should be. They got some time here they're not playing the championship game, so they got some time to rest up, get healthy, and work on some things. I think that's going to pay dividends for them, but I'm expecting a little bit more from them, but they'll have every opportunity to show out in the playoffs.
This is one of those teams where not being in the Big Ten championship is a good thing. Get healthy.
Yes.
Get it healthy.
It's a little bit kind of how I feel about Georgia, but I'm more concerned about Georgia, obviously. But Oregon, I think, could play a lot better on offense than what they are right now.
Yes, for sure. All right, so then we have 2 more for you here. The next one that we're going to get to real quick is LSU 13 and Oklahoma 17. Look, man, both these teams offensively are absolutely ass. They're cheeks. They're horrible. I can't say enough bad about both these offenses. There's one highlight on both of these teams offensively, and it's Satania, the receiver for Oklahoma. When he gets the ball in his hands, he's a walking, 200-meter sprint, whatever people. I was obviously no track star.
That's their only weapon.
But
literally.
Yeah, whatever the sprint is in track, he should run it. The dude's incredible with the ball in his hand. He's lightning. Talked about it earlier a little bit. John Mateer, I think he's horrible. I'm sorry. I think he can do some good things. I think he has tons of arm talent. Just tries to do too much at times. Hasn't figured out to take what the defense gives you. Hasn't figured out how sometimes 6 yards is better than an interception. Just not good. I don't really know what else to say other than Oklahoma's defense is really, really good. They allowed less than 200 yards in this game, and they are the reason that they're going to the playoffs, and that is it. That is it. That's all I have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to say. Is there anything else?
No, that they literally leaned on this defense all season. You can only do that for so long before it catches up to you, and I think it's going to. But we will see.
Going to in the playoffs. This next one was supposed to be Nolan's. Miami 38 at Pitt 7. Do you have anything on this? If not, I can go.
Yeah, I got some. This game was only close for like maybe 10 minutes. Mason Heichel got hurt, and then Pitt pretty much mailed it in. Miami could do pretty much anything they wanted to. Their defense was absolutely lights out in this game. Desmond Bain showed up. They were pressuring the quarterback. They were basically doing it all on defense. And then on offense, Carson Beck was efficient. And Malachi Toney, man, he's got to be the best freshman in college football.
Yep.
Threw a passing touchdown in this game. He can really do it all for them. If they make the playoff, which is a possibility still yet, they're going to have to lean on him absolutely as much as possible. But Miami did what they needed to do in this game. They really needed to have a blowout winner, and they did on the road. And Pitt really, once Heichel went down, they already short Desmond Reed too, and it really showed. So they couldn't really do anything on offense and could not stop Malachi Toney in this passing attack from Miami either. And that's why this game was pretty much a blowout after the first 5-10 minutes.
It was over, man. Pitt just
on the wrong side on this one.
Yeah, Pitt just could not block Miami. And yes, Malachi Toney, if anybody remembers, follows us from earlier on in the season, we talked about how Malachi Toney was literally the next Tyreek Hill. And I'm still that. The dude is the next Tyreek Hill. Dude's incredible. So that's the one reason I want to see them make the playoffs, because he's that good. I want people to see him. If you haven't seen him yet, you need to lay eyes on that guy. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here, Brian?
No. Intrigued to see where the playoff standings are tomorrow night. That's going to be kind of telling on where the committee's head's at. But other than that, I think we dove pretty good into all the topics that are kind of surrounding championship week here this coming Saturday and Friday.
Yeah, so next episode probably be Thursday night-ish. We'll review the playoff rankings, obviously. That's going to be a massive conversation because pretty well out of time when it comes to those. And then we're going to have tons of conference championship conversation. Obviously, some of those are going to be more than others. Like we talked about earlier, the Indiana-Ohio State game, not going to have a whole lot at stake, but we'll talk about it. It's a big game. But we're probably going to spend a little bit more time on the ones that mean a lot. And I think one of the most important ones is the American Athletic Conference Championship. The people probably aren't going to want to talk about, but we're going to break it down for you because it means a lot. Also, we will have our Book It segment, and we will talk about how we had a damn good week and we got this bitch back to even, baby. Mm-hmm. We grinded and got her back to even. So that's exciting stuff too. Brian, you good?
I'm good.
All right, man. Hey, that's Brian. I'm Colin. You can follow us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Deep Threat Sports, XDT_sports_. Facebook, Deep Threat Sports Network. Hey, congratulations, Missouri fans as well. Like we said earlier, sports betting is here. It's legal. Hey, until next time, everybody. Peace.